Boom, boom, boom. Welcome to Franchise Mode. We are back again with another stream. I appreciate anybody that's already in here because that means you were waiting, and I appreciate you for that. So today we have a slightly, I'm not going to say it's a new segment because we've had interviews before, but we are interviewing someone today that has an interesting profession. So we're going to talk about the profession, life views. I'm going to give mine as well. We're going to be, it's more going to be a conversation as well as an interview. So I'm going to bring him on now. His name is Jamar. So, okay.
What's up? Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, okay. So, for one, again, Jamar, I appreciate you for coming on. We call this the Jamar Root interview for sure. So, first, just want people to tell you just who are you?
For sure. My name is Jamar. I'm a 22-year-old speaker, entrepreneur. I founded my own podcast called The Root of Everything, where I help people find their passion and also show the day in the lives of people who do what they love. I also have a couple other pages I run on Instagram, sport reminders, and my own personal page. I'm all over the place, but yeah, I'm also a recent college grad of Temple University, sports management. So yeah, we're gonna get into more of what I do and who I am, but that's a little headliner.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, again, Jamar does a lot of different things. So I thought he was just an interesting figure. We met on social media through a mutual, and that's crazy. That just shows you like how social media can work on the positive end, like stuff like that is connecting with different people. So I thought that was really cool. So okay, let's get more into the profession. So what is your profession? What would you consider yourself?
Yeah, I consider myself an entrepreneur because I'm getting, my income in multiple different ways.
Yeah.
So my main profession is speaking. So I speak across the country at schools, depending on, what the school needs or who I'm speaking for. I'm either speaking like my podcast on helping students find their passion, navigate life decisions such as like deciding on a career, college, or major, or I'm speaking on helping students find their voice in their schools and doing things to prevent bullying and kids doing things that they shouldn't be doing because of the school culture. So depends on that. And then I have a couple side things that I do. I run a theme page on Instagram called Sport Reminders, sell merch, sell Instagram growth strategies, and I have an ebook on there. I also make content for other people. So I take clips from podcasts and then I turn them into little small bites and do that for people. And I'm probably forgetting something else, but that's why I say I'm just an entrepreneur. And then you want to ask me more, we can go there. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't even notice you even see some of this stuff. I didn't even know from following that you did all that. So first, you have an ebook. I didn't even know this. I know this podcast. We'll talk about that too, but talk about the ebook.
Yeah. So I grew this page, Sport Minders. We're at 12,000 followers right now, and I did it in about 5 months. And so when you do something like that, people are like, "Okay, how'd you do it?" And so it got to a point where I was like, I'm not finna just sit here and have these convos with people all day long. And when I can just write an ebook on it, and personally, it's something I always thought I could do. And I personally am kind of gearing up to write my own book about my life and the lessons from it. And so I thought it was a great, let me just do like a quick, 15, 20 page ebook on how to grow Instagram and all the things I've learned. Cause I've been on Instagram learning how to use it for the past 4 years, like how to truly be effective on it. And so I grew one page to 4.5K, and then I grew this one to 12K pretty quickly. So put that ebook together, and it actually hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in a couple weeks. So that's why nobody really knows.
Little plug.
Yeah. But yeah, it's coming on Sport Reminders, the page, coming out in a couple weeks.
Okay, now I guess now I want to move on to your podcast. So you do a podcast. Talk about what is your content? What is your goal? I guess with starting a podcast. Like this podcast, I know I just wanted to stream, do a lot of different stuff with sports and lifestyle and basically culture. So I knew that was my goal. So what is your goal with starting your podcast?
Yeah, my podcast is like my end game. My podcast isn't just I'm doing this. Like right now, my podcast is on a kind of a hiatus because I'm building out something big. And so my podcast is all about, helping people find their passion and now really doing that through the lives of other people that are already doing it. And so I want to show the day in the lives and the realities of people doing what they love to do, the highs and the lows, the working the second job to fund the real passion. I want to show the pure realities and get these in-depth views of these people going through what they're going through to do what they love to do. And hopefully through that, I can inspire that one kid to do what he loves to do. Or maybe he sees that one thing that I'm trying out, because in my show, I'm trying out their passion with them doing the entire daily life. So my goal is just I think my podcast, Root of Everything, can change the norm of what we decide to do with our lives. Like I think
Yeah.
we live our lives thinking we have to just go to school, get a job, make money to pay the rent. Which is true in a sense, but like I want to change the thought process of like understanding the value and actually loving what you do. And so the goal of it is to go on as many day in the lives and me trying it out with them, showing how hard it is. So it's not just me just feeding you this lie of like do what you love to do and everything's okay, but showing you like you got to work for it, but also like it's always worth it.
And so, what made you even want to do that, like for a living? Like,
Yeah. So it just came down to I think my sophomore year of college. Like when COVID happened, I had like reached out for all these internships, and I had a ton of internships. You know, working in sports management, you hunting for an
yeah,
internship at all times.
all the
Um,
time.
all times. And so I was hunting, and then it was like boom, COVID. I'm like, well, then there's no experience, and I was like, that can't be. And so started the podcast, and it kind of just I just kind of kept going. And so I started it, and at first it was just me, and I knew I wanted to do it on doing something you love to do, and I went through that. Then from just showing up, I had the bright idea of day in the life, so really making it a show. And so I wanted to do it first because of I started realizing the realities of doing something that you just like the idea of. Like for me, I love sports and I can talk sports all day. But then I realized like, do I want to work in sports? That was an eye opener for me because
For
I was
sure.
working in sports and I was like, you don't really love this. You just like sports. Like you like it, but do you want to work in it? And I realized there's a difference between liking something or the idea of it and then loving every moment of the process, the highs and the lows. And so for me, I realized that wasn't it anymore. And when I found this, like I started doing my podcast and I found how much I love the process, the highs and lows. I just wanted to share it with the world. And so, and I didn't want to like really waste any moments. So for me, my sophomore year, COVID happened. Before COVID happened, I actually had some life altering news, like where I was afraid of my life and all these things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into any specifics, but like I had some things happen where I started to realize how short life is. And so I was like, man, if I can figure out a way to do what I love to do and make money from it, I'm gonna give it a shot, you know. And so right now I'm giving it that shot, and things are starting to turn into the good for me, you know. So I gave it the shot, and now I'm doing it.
Yeah, and and having a podcast is cool, but
Yeah,
I like what you said about the highs and the lows because like there isn't 1,000 people watching this right now. Like I would love for that to be the case one day, but there's a process to build it. And it's like some
hmm,
days you just don't feel like recording. It's like, look, I gotta record because that's something I want to do. Like this is a goal of mine. And I realize myself, like even now that I have a new job, I'm like, oh, like I'm putting so much of my mind space into that job, and now I don't have the mind space to put into my own work. And it's like
facts.
you gotta learn
I
how to
feel
balance
that.
that. So balancing the highs and the lows and managing your time, I think is huge, man.
Facts. I agree, man. It's tough. And I had so for me, I had a job out of college. I was living in DC. That's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw you in DC.
yeah,
Oh yeah. And so I was there and that was what I was dealing with. I was working 9 to 5 and then 6 to 10, my stuff. And it's a grind, but like when you know this what you meant to do, this what you love, like
yeah.
it was always worth it for me.
Yeah. So okay. So when did you know that you wanted to be a professional speaker? Like, because you
Yeah.
do like besides you know we went down like the litmus of a lot of different tasks that you do,
Yeah.
but professionally speaking, like how did you know like hey I kind of have like a voice and people like give a
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, so I remember it all started like freshman or sophomore year. I would get on my Instagram story and I would just say like a little inspirational thing. Like I would just say a little something. I'd be like, maybe I was working hard at work or school, or I'd be like, make sure this and this, and I would do it. And I would get a couple haters. I get a couple friends like, bro, what are you doing? And then I would also get like the occasional like, yo, I needed to hear that. And then
Facts.
I just kept stacking the steps on that and then having the podcast. So when I dropped my podcast, I remember it like anybody who is a podcaster can relate to this. Like that first moment, like you drop it, it's like, is anybody even going to like even give me a down, like one listen, like it's one person. And then even if you do get a couple, it's like, did they just click it just so they can like say they support it and they didn't even
Yeah.
listen to the joint? So I'm like, I was going through that. And so I remember I posted my first episode and one of my boys from college, he called me and I was like, what's up? You know, not expecting anything of it. I'm sitting in my college dorm. He's like, bro, you have no idea how much your podcast impacted me.
Dang.
Like hearing those words, I'm so few, and he ended up becoming a guest on the podcast, and he's just like he's a rapper, and he's just like grown so much. And so it's like little moments I kept getting those. I would go back to school back in Dallas, and I would see some kid that was a freshman on my baseball team, and he'd be like, Jamar, I majored in this because of you. I was gonna major in this, but I did something I love to do. Like I just started getting those little like, hey man, you're doing something here. And so I kept getting those, and then I was like, okay, I really like doing this. I started learning about how much money you can make doing it. And then I was like, I'm gonna do this. And so I just kept learning about it while I was working in DC. And then once I saw the opportunity to go for it, I just went for it because I saw it as not only as something I can do and get paid for, but it could basically pay for my podcast. So one of the things I'm doing is you want me to speak in Michigan? Okay, let me find one dope person to interview in Michigan and do a day in the life. So it's allowed me to not only get paid and do something I love, but also uplift my in game.
Yeah. Oh, that's that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so I because I remember when I actually forgot that we saw each other in DC. That was the
Yeah.
most. I think.
Random.
Let me tell you that. Let me tell everybody that's listening. The night I saw him, what happened that night for me. So on that night was my graduation. Well, no, yeah, that was my
Word.
college graduation party after move. So basically, like, first, this is crazy. So I know some people in the comments, Mont, I saw you comment, he was there.
All
So
right.
so he probably saw you, doesn't even probably realize, like,
Yeah.
I remember that we're blasted.
Yeah.
So
Me too.
yeah, it was like I graduated grad school. I'm like, okay, I'm done with school. So now I'm like, we gotta celebrate this because I will never go to
Yeah.
this again, most likely. So I think we're just walking in like U Street. I'm like, wait a minute, like
Yep.
I know this guy, but I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
But people, people aren't weird, then it's cool when you see people like that. Some people are
Yeah.
like awkward, like they don't know how to hold
Act
conversation.
like they never really seen you. Is yeah.
Like, bro, I know, like I'm on Instagram, I know faces, like especially when I have my glasses on, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty funny. And so, but speaking of DC, what was your job in DC?
Yeah, so I was working for Destination DC. It's a destination marketing organization. So basically, anything coming into DC or marketing DC, that's who it is. You know, if anything big is happening, we're kind of got our hands in that. Well, I should say I was having my hands in it when I was working for that organization, and I was apprentice, so I was working for all the different departments, whether that
Oh yeah,
was convention sales, whether that was like bringing in conferences into the city, or was that tourism and sports. So I was helping. Like I remember we did like the bid for the MLS All-Star game, bid for FIFA World Cup. We were doing stuff like that. It was crazy stuff. So I was working with them, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It really was amazing. It ended up really focusing on the sports side. And so I was really man, that was kind of people assumed I was going to. I was low key looking into all the other realms in this organization. Did that for an extra like month or two, and then I just decided it was time for me to go all in. But it was like the best job in the world, and that's what made me knew I had to be an entrepreneur, because it was like, if the best job in the world isn't enough for me, then I know I'm not meant to work. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
9 to
facts.
5.
Yeah, okay. And so this is just I was wondering this, like,
Yeah.
because like first, before you even answer this question, like, how did you even know you had a voice that was like? I know you said people told you that you had like
Yeah.
a influential voice, but like when did you? Because like, I be thinking the same thing about like Wallow, like he's
Yeah.
on there giving like motivational stuff. Like, how did you even know that you even have that people
Yeah.
be influenced by you?
Yeah. Uh yeah, like man, you know what? College is a good spot to learn that. Because it's like a microcosm of like the whole world. And so like I'm not kidding, like you got all these different types of people. And so you start to realize like, yo, I'm not saying I had like I'm not saying like I was over here like ghost off power using people and stuff.
Yeah,
But like I realized a lot of people would come to me, like come to me for advice, like listen, or like I would just be on stage randomly and stuff would just happen. Like my freshman year, I was at a conference as a volunteer. I ended up on stage. It just happened. Told a whole speech. It just happened. It what you know what I mean? Stuff
yeah.
would just happen. You
It was
kind of got to
magic.
let life signs come at you. I would get those things, and I was like, man, I remember one time I was at the SAC, and I was just like sitting there. That's what we call the Student Activity Center. We got like our Chick-fil-A and stuff in there.
Yeah,
And I was just like, man, I'm too smart to be somebody's B word. Like it just randomly came in my mind, and my friends are just laughing, and I'm halfway like just laughing, but like halfway like dead serious. And so it just came as a realization. like I always tell people the reason I'm doing all this stuff is because I took time to be aware of myself. So like every day I was like sitting there in silence thinking, okay, like really taking in each experience and then putting that thing together to say, okay, I can do something like this, you know?
Yeah, and so and then okay, now with like the Gary V's, the Roy
Yeah.
Prince Donnells, the Wallows, like, do you watch these guys? Are they like inspiration? Like, my
Yeah.
question is like, do other people that inspire other people get inspired by other people? You
Bro,
know what I'm saying?
bro, I'm gonna tell you a true story. So my job in DC,
Okay.
they gave me an offer for a full time job. Well, I
Mhm.
was already working full time, but like a full time like
Offer.
position.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
offer. This how much a year, and they gave me this offer, and they're like, you got 2 weeks to make a decision.
That's the worst thing ever, by the way. If
I
anybody,
know, I know, and it's like, dang it, like you love, and especially when you really love where you are. And then I remember it came to the buzzer, like it's like 2 hours till like I got, and I still ain't made my decision. And I'm listening to just straight Gary V, like Gary V only. And I'm like, I'm not lying, bro. Full transparency. I'm like sitting in my apartment, like crying because like I really like wanted to stay because I love DC, but I knew I was a little comfortable. But it was also the fear of just like crashing out. Like when you go for like an entrepreneur dream, like it's scary. Like you gotta really have that intuition, like because like what I'm doing right now, bro, like I couldn't imagine that I would have done this. But if I didn't take the jump, I wouldn't be here. So like, man, Gary V is big on me because he got me to quit my job. But
yeah.
Gary V is a big inspiration to me. That's the one. Like Gary V is the one I am. If anybody was like, who's somebody that like inspired you to do Gary V? Um, that's one person I will always listen to. Some people like, man, I ain't gonna cap with you. I'm a little arrogant with stuff, and I'm like, man, I can, what I'm saying, I'm a little better. That's just me being a competitor, somebody that played sports. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
No shade, but Gary V is the one where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down and listen.
Nah, I know what you mean. Gary V, like, if anybody doesn't
Yeah,
know, first time, I feel like everyone, even if you don't
yeah,
know him, if you gotta look him up on
you've
your phone
seen
right
him.
now, you've seen him before.
Yeah,
He's mastered the
yeah,
grid,
yeah,
essentially. So, but yeah, like he's influenced me too. Just like do what you love, and like, do you
yeah.
really like that, or you
Yep.
think you like that? Like, is this something that you're passionate about? Just like like you said, like the ups and downs of life. And he just seemed like a free spirit. Like I don't even think I'm even like maybe he doesn't act like this all the time, but like I don't even think I'm that like I'm like he. I feel like he loves himself a lot, and I'm like, do I
Yeah,
love myself like this? Like I try
yeah,
to, I really do.
yeah,
Some moments, everybody has their moments. Like you kind of got to. So that was one of them. I'm like, I wanted to like this Gary V, like
yeah,
watch Wallow. Like I've heard him say his name before, but
yeah.
like I just don't know how that's always been interesting. I
Yeah, I
just
definitely
it's
watch
the
them.
same with athletes. Like sometimes I realize athletes don't watch the sport they play. Like a lot of
Hmm.
times as a college player, like who's your favorite NFL
Yeah,
player? Like I don't really even watch
yeah,
NFL. I'm like, what? How can you be an athlete and not watch? I'm like, he doesn't have time.
yeah. Makes sense. But I definitely watch all of them. And I think like for me as somebody who like is making content and trying to grow on Instagram in all ways, all that stuff is stuff to study. Like all that is information. Like I be watching them like, oh, they did that with their camera angle right there. Like I'm thinking like that. I'm like, they did that with their camera angle. You started their video with this type of hook. Like so like I be studying, not even on some like influence, like let me see what they did because that video blew up type thing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about some of your social media accounts.
Yeah.
So like you run 3 social media accounts, and you even run some for other people sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how does that work? Like in
Yeah.
like time, like how long? Like what I'm saying, like how long do you spend? Like you wake up in the morning, like okay, I'm gonna give Instagram 2 hours a day, like or
Yeah.
maybe you're studying it.
So it has evolved over the years and I've gotten more efficient with it. I remember taking a whole Saturday for one page. Like like I'm dead serious. Like I will work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and then Saturday I would sit there from 8 to 3, boom, 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 videos. But technology has advanced. Like for me, like if you watch my videos, I have the captions on it. Back in the day, so a lot of people don't like know back in the day, like a year or two ago, before we had the cap cuts of the world, the captions app of the world,
Yep.
you
TikTok.
used to have to sit there and you listen to yourself and you write what you said and get them captions. Like, boy, I used to spend 30 minutes on a 20-second video editing. And so now you have the captions app. now, and so like that makes it a lot quicker. But now I run more accounts. So back then, I ran really only like one, and then now it's more efficient. So like for me, it's all about batching. So like on one of my paid sport miners, I post 2 to 3 times a day. So on Saturday, in about 2 3 hours, I can make no Saturday in two separate hour increments. I can make 14 posts. But that's the
What?
type. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
You do post a lot on that page, so I guess I
But
see it.
it's about this is where people don't understand like social media strategy. That page
Mhm.
would be considered a theme page. So because it's a theme,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like a spam. And so I'm doing the same post over and over again. I'm just changing two things. I'm changing the video behind it. I'm changing the quote. I'm not having to think like about no like, you know what I'm saying? But then I post on something else. I may have to think of ideas. So that page is quick because I got a notes tab on my phone that has thousands of quotes I done already made up for myself. I'm just picking the quote and then slapping it on there. So that's easy. But then my personal page, it comes from like content I batch too. But that's now gotten easier because like right now, I got my phone right here to the right. I got this video and I'm gonna chop it up. That's content. Same thing for my pocket, just chop it up. So before it used to take long because I would sit there one by one. Okay, content idea, boom, content. I don't do that no more. I let everything be authentic and I batch it. So by the time it's Sunday, man, my podcast is already scheduled out for the week. I'm not even touching it. Um and then my 14 posts are in my phone. All I got to do is press two buttons. And then my personal, I just pick what I'm feeling for the day from a podcast I already done.
Yeah.
Did. Is that
So
simple?
you like it's scheduled. It might
Yeah.
look like it's like
Oh.
but you already know. It's
Oh.
not like a
I'm a week ahead of everybody.
yeah. That's correct. And then on your sports page, I like the aesthetic of the page. Like it's like
Yeah.
dark background, but like a
Yeah.
quote. But people like this is like especially Instagram. People
Yeah.
love to repost stuff on their story. Like it's really cool.
You would
But it
be
just seem
amazed.
like they're
Right.
in tune. You know what I'm saying? Like they're
Yeah.
deep, but they went in tune with life. Like, you actually are deep. Like you've actually made the quotes. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm pretty sure you've heard some of the quotes, but I'm saying like overall to write down hundreds to thousands of quotes, like where does that even come from?
Yeah, man. I tell people like your best investment will always be yourself. So
Mm,
like my own self-development is what's producing all of this. Like people want the shortcut. People come in my DMs like, man, how'd you do it? Like, man, I spent
right.
4 years grinding other pages, and learning and then like even having the wisdom. So like I've done experience stuff and I have a journal of all these experiences. And so I've mastered self-reflection. I won't say mastered, but like I really, you know what I'm saying? And so my quotes are just my life in perspective. That's all it is. When I post, don't give up, you're almost there. It's because I didn't give up and then something happened. This is
Yeah,
that's what happened.
for real.
And so I've just been able to grow and then have byproducts of it. And so my quotes, like am I at the airport and I see something like weirdly beautiful, I write the quote down. You know what I mean? Um it just what but it is also a natural skill of mine. I feel like I've always been able to kind of like think creatively in that way, but I think you have to tap into it. So like one of the reasons I have these quotes is because I do something that a lot of people don't do anymore. They don't sit in silence anymore. Like I legit sit in silence and take
Yeah.
in moments. And so because of that, I hear myself talk. A lot of people, they listen to music, watching TV, working. That's around the clock. I sit in silence and let life inspire me. And then it just comes. And then I also with every video, I've kind of changed my engineering of it. Now I find the video first and let the video inspire me. So if I see John Morant dunking on somebody, I'm like, what does that make me? What does that tap into me? And then I make a quote off of that.
Oh, that's tough. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because speaking of going deeper into the sitting in silence thing, because
Yeah.
I've over like the last month
Yeah.
really just started to realize like I'm never off the clock. Like
Yeah.
mentally. Like in the shower, I'm listening to a sports podcast.
Yep.
Or if I'm at work, maybe I'm listening to some of my ear music or this or that. Or I'm just hearing people talk. But like
Hmm.
I realize like sometimes like even if like right now if I wanted to, like I hear nothing. And
Hmm.
it's like sometimes you just sit there and it's like you just start thinking about your day or thinking
Hmm.
about it could be because sometimes it can get ugly. Like sometimes you don't like what you hear that you're saying to
Facts.
yourself. So, but I have realized that can really shape you. Like,
Bro, Oh, you have no idea. Like, it's because like I think all of us don't realize how much power we just have within. You know what I mean? Like we're constantly looking for it out there, but like it's all inside of us. You know, there's some like intuition. Like we all have a level of intuition inside of us. I think. We just have to tap into it more. Like and like for me, people ask me, how do you do all these things? It's because I let myself have ideas. It's hard to have an idea if you never think, like, and so I, I just be thinking and then I act on it, so
Do you
yeah.
meditate?
Meditate every day. I meditate
How long?
first thing in the morning. How long?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so first thing in the morning, last thing I do before I go to bed, I meditate probably say like on average like 5 minutes, but
yeah.
it's more of like a feel, like do I feel like you know what I'm saying, like
Mhm.
do I feel like if I'm going to sleep and like I got a lot of stuff on my mind, I might meditate for 15 minutes. It just happens. Um, Sometimes I meditate on the idea, So like if I'm trying to get a quote, I just sit and meditate and I'll randomly start thinking about when I was 6 and I almost got in a fight and a quote come. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
Like,
crazy.
like meditation brings out like the deepness of your brain. Like there's all these like things deep inside you forgot, but you really didn't. You just haven't like went there in a while. So I meditate at least twice a day.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, meditation, that's something
Yeah.
I've definitely been trying to get into.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, everybody listen. Sometimes I ain't gonna lie, it be uncomfortable to sit by yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Darkest thoughts will come to you. And
Yeah.
if you're
Yep.
somebody, I guess, that's trying to quote unquote run away from something, or
Exactly.
that's going to be there. So you're gonna have to, like, I realize for myself personally, you really have to get comfortable with some stuff maybe that's in your past that you're like
Yeah.
kind of don't really want to think about. I know me, my dad talked about that all the time because my dad,
Yeah.
like both my grandparents passed for
Uh,
like my dad's parents, my grandparents passed.
uh-huh.
He was like 18. Like both of them were already gone by then. Like, so he was like, yeah. And he never talked to me about that. But then one day he
Really?
just randomly did. I'm like, oh,
Really?
he's definitely been holding on to this. Like the way he was talking, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is like
Deep.
this is probably
Deep.
like therapeutic to him to even be talking about it in this way.
Yeah.
So that meant something to me when he brought it up to me because I didn't even ask anything. So I thought, so I get what you mean. So okay, now we're about to get into just some random questions I have for you just on
I'm ready. I'm
serious
ready.
anything. So
All right.
we got how important. Okay, let me ask this again. So how important is your circle?
It's huge. It's important to have different circles. It's important to have circles for certain scenes. You know what I mean? Like I got circles for when I'm trying to be focused. You know what I'm saying? I got those people on hand that I know are thinking in terms of me, in terms of like discipline and like being focused. Then I also know the people I want to be around when I'm just trying to honestly get drunk and have fun.
Nothing's wrong
It's
with that.
just being honest. But those same people aren't the ones I'm talking to. And I'm like, man, I got this idea. I'm trying to think how to scale it. You see what I'm saying? And so I think having circles for all facets of life are important because they will allow you to have the perspective you need at any time. Like I have a bunch of guy friends, but there's certain things I don't come to a guy about. You know what I'm saying? If I'm dealing with some set, you know what I'm saying, with the other gender, I'm gonna call one of my homegirls, And so I think having that circle and have those people that love you for who you are, like regardless, they're gonna love you no matter. I think bump the different scenarios, even if they come into the scenario that they're not meant for. If you just got people that love you for who you are, man, you winning, because that stuff will allow you to be who you are. So like coming on a podcast is hard. You got all these people. I don't know who's on here
Yeah,
could be judging me right now. I go and walk across the street. There's people. I go to the mall. There's people. And so being able to have this home, even if it's like in different places with people that allow you to be yourself, it makes you more comfortable to go out there and be that person when you're not with them. And so it's important in all facets, whether that's being yourself, whether that's being happy, whether that's getting through hard times. It's everything, man. You're not gonna make it without other people. You need the love from other people.
yeah. I realized for me, that's one of the most powerful tools I had.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it. Like I
Yep.
didn't even know it to maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Like, oh crap, this is like not an average thing. Like, it's like I don't know. Like I went to
Yeah.
a pretty like a top high school, I would say in DC.
Yeah.
That was hard. That I struggled at, but it was a good struggle because it helped later in life. But regardless, you meet friends in that struggle, and
Yep.
those friends have seen you like at the bottom, like grow. Like you
Mhm.
weren't the flashiest, or you weren't the smartest guy, or you maybe didn't get the most girls or something. Like they saw you at your
So,
base, literally. And they were
yeah.
your friend then. So it's like, oh, like next thing you know, like we're like 23 and we're all doing good. It's
Yeah.
like, and we're all black too. You have like
Yeah.
find black people from the inner city that are all doing good. It's like, damn, this is like not like everyone just can't say that, and it
No.
feels like people never look at other people's perspective. Like
Nope.
people only look at the through stuff through their lens, so it seems
Mhm.
normal to you. But then you realize like, wait a minute, like everyone doesn't have. Some people don't have anybody like they
That's what I'm
relationship. Like
saying.
they're still looking for their circle or their close friends. So I realize how powerful that can be. And then you look at the people that are at the top and you realize, okay, they're at the top
Yeah.
now because I mean, of course, they're talented, they have all that type of stuff, but you get there because you know people too, like
That's
like that's kind of how it is. Like I'm pretty sure if Elon Musk saw this and he was like, hey, I like this kid, I'm pretty sure I'd make it pretty quickly, like
yeah.
with somebody like that on your team
Mhm.
and in your
Mhm.
circle pushing you.
Yep.
So having a circle is really important too. So
Facts. And you just never like, and I'm gonna say this a bit like multiply this by 100. You just never know who somebody else knows, who somebody else knows. Like the amount of times, man, like
yeah,
you just have no idea. You just have, and like, and I like to say, like, going off of that, like, if you just, I think, and this is something I get from Gary Vee, but it's something I've implemented in my life. Like, just being a good person is the biggest life hack in the world. Like, I
yeah,
kid you not. Like, I'm just a genuine person, act out the kindness of my heart. And that stuff come back, not me even aiming for that. Hey, Jamar, I got this for you. Just hit my phone. Somebody ain't talked to in 2 years. I got this for you. You know what I'm saying? I get those things a lot because while I didn't know, I was making some of the best investments of my life, relationships. And so just man, if you can just make that investment, like we think about like money investments or like investment against some equipment, you at a young age, if you just continuously make investments in your relationships, you could dang near just ask for $1 million and get it with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
it's that valuable, you know? And so it's propelled me to where I am today.
And then I forgot that somebody put in the comments, how do you meditate? I did.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think is you got to find it for yourself. Like it's really hard when I started because when I started, like I couldn't handle it. Like I was just like, because we get bored. Our generation is constantly saying we're bored, and then we got to
100%.
turn on something. We can't deal with sitting in the car looking outside of the window. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I personally am horrible with directions because I was on my phone. My parents are driving. But for me, I just sit and I make sure it's silent. I don't like any type of like music or like soothing sounds. I like pure silence. And then it's just all about focusing on your breath. That's for me. So like meditation is about like it really isn't about thinking. Like you really like your first aim shouldn't be to like think about something unless you're trying to accomplish something. Like for me, I'm meditating on just breathe in, breathe out, like focusing on my breath because I think meditation at its purest form is reminding you that you're alive and that's the most important thing. So like that's what's the biggest thing with meditation because you can have all this stuff going on. You can have your wife just cheated and left you. You could have your job just quit on you, but you meditate and you like, yo, I'm breathing right now. You know what I'm saying? If you that's the foundation of meditation, focusing on breathing through your nose, and then just letting your mind be free and go where it goes and pay attention to that. Like I think J. Cole has a quote or clip about that. He just like, I'm just letting my mind take me and then I center back to breathing and then let my mind take me and then center back to breathing and then write it down. You know what I'm saying? Like write it down. Oh shoot. I just realized when I was 10, this and this happened. That's the reason I have trauma to this day. Write it down and get back to it. So that's how I meditate. But then it just depends on your mission with it. So like if you're just meditating to clear your mind, to think about the day, boo, 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 get ready, do that. But then when you have a goal in mind, you'll start to realize the way you would do that. And it's different for everybody. But me, I just start off thinking about, okay, if I'm trying to think about something for a podcast episode or questions I'm gonna ask somebody, I just sit down, say I'm interviewing you. I'm just thinking about every interaction I've ever had from you and letting it flow. And then what I took from that. And it's just you just do it differently by the reason you're meditating.
Yeah, meditation. I think meditation is cool in that way. Like I've tried like the sounds and the silence, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you gotta kind of try stuff to find out what's your thing. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like I follow this guy named Breath Messiah. I, mean, I don't know if you follow him or
Mm.
not.
Nah.
Regardless, he's just big on like breath, clearly last
Okay.
name. So he's just like with the mental. So he's always like this is the most powerful thing in the world, like breathing. There's nothing without breathing. So
Mhm.
I always thought that was pretty powerful. Okay, now we got another one. So why do people feel lost? Like why do you think
Mm.
that?
I think people feel lost because they're living their life on somebody else's terms. They're doing something because their parents said they had to. They're doing something because the teacher said they couldn't. I felt lost because I was doing stuff based off somebody else's judgments on my life. I was
Mm,
doing things to please other people other than myself. Um, and then it's also people also feel lost because they're they're yearning for something that isn't. Like, I think people think we're supposed to have our whole lives figured out. We're supposed to know today, tomorrow, I'm gonna get this job. Like, I think one of the biggest things I've realized, and I posted this on my Instagram, one of the biggest things I've realized that helps you with peace, happiness, and just the greatest form of wisdom is understanding you don't know anything. So if you don't know something, don't stress about it. Nobody does. You know what I mean? Like, even like we really don't know anything. Could this all be a dream? I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know anything. And so when you just kind of let life happen, I believe in a higher power. So when you just kind of put that all on the higher power, like for me, when I came out to Dallas and quit my job, I didn't know exactly how I was going to figure this out, but I just had that faith, and I was like, I'm a control the controllables. And so I think it's those three things. Is people are living on somebody else's terms, and so they're doing all these things. Their body is like obviously telling them this is not what we're meant to do. Like, we obviously don't enjoy this. Why are we doing this? And so they feel lost because they never thought that they even could do something they love to do. So they didn't even try to find that thing. They just did what they had to do.
yeah, to keep going basically.
Yeah.
And somebody asked a similar question. So it's like, how do you find yourself after so many years of like living in other people's terms, like living for someone else type of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think everybody has. Like, everybody has. We were born and all we are is taken in from our parents. Whatever they think, we just have to absorb it, and that's our thing. So everybody has to deal with this. What this question is, I think you just have to start really, really like learning who you are, minus all of that. Like, you got to start like just really everything you ever think is a foundational thing for yourself. Really think about it. Don't just say like if somebody asks you a question about something, don't just give them an answer. Think about why. Like I say, the number one thing you can do is to continue to ask why. Continue to ask why about every question you could possibly ask yourself, because then you will find the reason. Because sometimes if you keep asking why, you'll get to the last why, and it's like, well, my pops told me. Well, that's not who you are. That's who your pop is, you know?
Yeah.
And so you continue to ask yourself why, and then the next day doing something about it. So if you're working a job and you never really knew why, and you keep saying why, every day you get back from work, you realize, oh, I'm doing this because of this, and I don't like this. So then tomorrow, let's make an adjustment. And then you see how that feels. It's all like we're all just trying and then seeing, trying and seeing. And then once you try that thing and it feels right, then go ahead with it. And so I think it's just all about continuing to ask yourself why. So whatever that thing is, that core principle, whatever it is, continue to ask yourself why, and then maybe you go listen to somebody else to talk about it, and then see what your opinion is. But try your best to have opinions and to have decisions off of purely who you are and not any circumstances. You know what I mean? And if you have to make a decision off the circumstances, be it, but understand it's because of those and not because this is what I want to do. Like, we all have to make decisions because we got to pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? I just got
Yeah.
off umpiring the baseball field. I don't really enjoy doing that no more. I still love baseball, but I don't feel like, squatting for 2 hours. So understanding why you do things is the biggest thing. And then once you start understanding, you meditate, you start journaling. You find the method to be able to understand yourself. It's different for everybody else. Then you act on them. And then you understand how those actions felt, and you just continue running that play.
I feel like people are scared of that word though. The word
Of
why.
which one?
Like
Why?
why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you might find some again that you have been running away
Yeah.
from like for a long time. Like
Mhm.
and sometimes or something like sometimes you really like you like, damn, like I really just didn't know that about myself. Or I didn't think I did.
Yeah.
You always know yourself, but you don't at the same time.
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah, we bury it. Like we bury that stuff deep. Like I think like when we start really having relationships with people, like we have a significant other, a lot of those things like especially a significant other, I challenge that because they're like I can just see the insecurity here. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you gotta face it. And so I think yeah, we all have our things, and a lot of times we're not even consciously putting them down there. It's just a instinct. Like we deal with something and boom, let me just hide this. I don't want to feel that again, and we don't even realize it because it's been so long. And so
Yeah.
we all do. It's like instincts. You don't want to feel bad again, so you put the bad away.
And so when you are in like a relationship, like
Yeah.
in someone else's damage, quote unquote, or
Yeah.
what's like those type of terms that I think people
Toxic,
are,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
toxic, or
Yeah.
they're healing, they're
Yeah.
going through that. Like, how is a like I'm not saying you're healed or I'm healed, like anybody is like healed all the way, but
Yeah.
like you feel more comfortable than most. And
Uh-huh.
someone else, like you like this person, but you realize like they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even deal with something like that? And they're pushing their insecurities onto you.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. And personally, like I said before, I don't know. But like it's one of those things that I'm big on, and I've realized since like I've been single for like a year and a half, I think. Like, and that one was a tough one for me. But like it's about like trusting it. Like that person might come back to my life and be it for me. But it's about like loving somebody unapologetically.
Mhm.
I think that's what we lose sight of. Like we love people conditionally. We love them if they loving us. We loving them if they quit their job so we can move with me to my dream. You know what I'm saying? Like we are always, and I don't think that's even love. Like if you're loving somebody conditionally, I don't even think that's love. That's like low key manipulation. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah,
like I'm big on like I'm a love, like I love unconditionally. And so if that means pain for me, but that's like I'm not saying I'm sacrificed, but I'm about just loving just to love. And so the rest is up to God for me. Like I can't control it. I can't. I
yeah,
like my first guest on my podcast, and it stuck with me. He kept saying it, control the controllables. You know what I mean?
yeah.
If like it hits a
For
point, like if you're trying to help somebody and they don't want the help no more, you can't control it. So why are you stressed about it? So it's about like there's some relationships I think people can help each other out. There's some relationships where maybe they have to go solve their two problems by themselves and then they can come back together. I
real.
think there's a billion different scenarios in relationship with people, but you just gotta trust what's your intuition is saying. And then like if that's meant to be, it'll happen. But
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But ain't
yeah,
no
right.
instant, you know what I'm saying? But like you can't be mad if somebody going through something. Yeah, that ain't always a byproduct of you.
Yeah, I think relationships can be tough in that way because at the end of the day, that person is not you.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's not going to agree with everything you do, every
Mm,
lifestyle choice you make. But I like your point about the loving somebody unconditional. It's like how like my mom, like, I don't care what I do, like
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
locked in with her. Like
Yeah.
I don't even have to I don't even feel like I have to look a certain way. Nothing. She's gonna like me regardless.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to like marriage and something like that, like
Yeah.
because if especially like somebody like me, like one of my goals is to be pretty successful as a journalist.
Yeah.
Like I want to be like
Mm-hmm.
top guy. Like that is my goal. So I have that really high standard for myself. But
Uh-huh.
then like what if someone else that you love isn't as motivated? Like they're like they're just kind of just going along with the flow.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't bother you if you feel like they're still your person in that way.
I think
That's a tough one, I feel like.
yeah, it is a tough one. Like for me, I'm super like, man, I want to hit the tippity tops, but like
Yeah.
for me, like I'm very big on listening to like I listen to a lot
Mm.
of successful people. Like I listen to it, and one of the main things you be hearing, man, is like, man, it was all great, but like it ain't nothing if I can't share with nobody. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw Shannon Sharp's last thing. I think he was interviewing. I forget who he was interviewing, but he was talking about it. He was Chad
Club
Ochocinco.
Shay Shay.
Yeah, Club Shay Shay. And he was like, man, like I ain't got no like he was explaining it.
Mhm.
And so for me,
Oh
I'm
yeah, no, I saw this clip. I know
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about.
amazing
It
clip.
was
Yeah.
Chad Ochocinco was on the podcast. If anybody knows.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so like for me, like, man, I don't need somebody to like be like on that hunt with me if that ain't it. Like for
Mm,
you, like if you want to be successful, there might be somebody that really loves you and loves supporting your dream, and that's just who they are. They're made to support you, and you
yeah.
love them in different ways. So like I don't like personally, I don't know if I could date somebody that's as ambitious as me, because then we ain't gonna spend no time with each other, because we both gonna be on the road. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I do think I need somebody that's a hustler. You know what I mean? I need somebody who's going to get it, and you could be a hustler in like you could be a hustler in different ways. My grandmother a hustler. She a hustler at loving me and my family. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like she is creative in loving us. You'll get something in the mail randomly from her. She a hustler. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So like it's about finding somebody that fits that puzzle piece, but it don't always got to be like a storybook. Like, oh, me and her, we changing the world together. Like, no, some people
Yeah.
are
It
meant.
don't gotta be Jay-Z, Beyonce every time.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how that worked personally. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think it's all about like just finding the one that fits the puzzle, but also understand nobody's ever gonna be perfect. So finding the one you love enough that you willing to like work with it, you know?
Yeah, I actually like that too. You said about like I don't even know if I even want someone to be as ambitious as me.
No, I
I
definitely don't.
never really thought about that
Yeah.
till you said that. I actually don't want that because I know what I'll do to win. And I want, and I'm like, I don't know if there can be two people that feel like
Facts.
this that just can like, oh, okay, like okay, this like ESPN's called me. Okay, well, guess I'm moving to LA
Exactly.
or something like that. Like I don't. If both parties are that willing just to kind of like
Then it's gonna be hard to
it's gonna be hard to make it work. So I never really thought about that. Oh, we got a comment.
all right, bet.
Uh, so you have to love you have to love yourself unconditionally before you can truly love someone else
I
unconditionally.
agree. I agree.
It's actually like saying you love yourself. Like that's feel like oh I love myself yeah, but like how you really think about it? Do I like do I? Because I feel like you have to practice. Like so,
Oh, bro. I'm telling you,
that's why
and
I fail sometimes. I failed last week.
yeah.
Like
Like I'm big, like bro. I'm in the mirror after I work out, after I meditate, worked out, did a couple things. I'm saying affirmations in the mirror, loving myself. Like I'm,
you
yo,
got
like my main one is like, yo, you my best friend. I be saying that in the mirror, like you, bro, you that guy. Like I'm talking to myself. Like loving yourself is the number one. Like it's the number one. It should be the number one priority for all of us because I always say you know what I'm saying? The people around us, everybody in this world that are around us is not going to be with us for one point. You know what
yeah
I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, we're gonna die alone. We're gonna come into this world alone. So like you're gonna have your moments alone. Not everybody's gonna be there. Even if somebody's you know what I'm saying? They gonna have to go and be sick for a day and not be there. So if you can't love yourself, you will always be dependent in love from other people, which will always mess up your
yeah
relationships. And so like when you start loving yourself, man, that's when then you can trust timing, like to come because you're not needing anything to come. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember fiending for a relationship. Oh, I need somebody. Now I'm just like I'm chilling, man. So when it comes, I know it's like, yo, this is special, you know?
yeah
So I think loving yourself is like I think that's success. Like I think like we talk about chasing success and you can get lost in it, but like when you start like going through those lows I was talking about and you love yourself, be like, oh shoot, well, this is just me getting to grow. Like today I was having a really like my mental health was bad this morning. And so like one thing for me that's self-love to me is when I'm hitting those moments, I'm like, hey Jamar, this is an opportunity to grow. Like this is something to be, you know what I'm saying? Or when something doesn't happen, I'm like, hey, like this loss is gonna prepare you for something. You know,
yeah
and it's like I think the best type of self-love is perspective. Cause
mm,
that'll save you from everything. Cause it's everything's perspective. Like today, I forgot the keys up here and I had to go get the receptionist to get the keys. I could have stressed out. I was like, let me just, you know what I'm saying? Perspective, self love. I think like that'd change everything. You'll be a better journalist if you love yourself more because then you're not caring about the other side of the camera. You know,
yeah.
it transfers to everything.
And so, speaking of stuff like that, what do you think about like ashwagandha, CBD gummies,
Oh,
like like they're like pills or stuff like that, like
yeah,
more healthy than like
yeah,
like a regular doctor
yeah,
prescribed pill. But basically, they're mood balancers.
yeah.
They're like natural mood balancers, kind of. I guess as natural can be nowadays.
Y- yeah, I ain't never really tapped into that. Like
Yeah,
personally, I smoke a little marijuana occasionally. So that's me.
stress
But
reliever.
like, yeah, what'd you say?
I say it could be a stress reliever for some.
Yeah, like you gotta find what works for you. I'm big on that. I'm not really into that. I have no knowledge on it. But if
Yeah.
something makes you happy in the right way and it doesn't have side effects, I'm all for it. You know. So yeah, that's my perspective. But I really don't. I'm not really into all
Yeah,
that.
because I've been realizing that's been like that's something I see a lot. Like I mean,
Really?
I like the ashwagandha personally. I
Okay.
think it's if I am feeling like a little stressed, and I guess I don't maybe have as much
Yeah.
time to quote unquote calm down, or I just
Yeah.
like like it's like taking my fish oil in the morning. I guess like for your
Okay.
heart, like it's just I don't know,
Right.
it's like it's something for my
Yeah.
body in that way. So that's something cool. But okay, let's talk about social media.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
can
Oh, I
you
like
get
this.
overstimulated by social media?
For sure. Like I think like we talk about social media, the internet is one of the biggest opportunities, but it's one of the biggest distractions of all time. Like, oh my goodness. Like you can get overstimulated by all of it. Like you can learn too much. You can watch too much of a show and it like messes up your reality with it. Like I think, man, I think a lot of people are sucked into it right now. Like I be watching my mom, like sometimes I be coming in, I be going to see my mom, and I'm like going to her room, and she just hunched back on Instagram Reels for like 2 hours. I'm like,
My
Mom, come
mom on
on.
TikTok, literally.
I'm like, she be sending me these goofy videos of a dog running around the house. I'm
Like,
like, this is not good. This cannot be good.
yeah,
Like,
mom, I'm
I'm,
sorry because he's probably listening to this, but
yeah,
my
this
mom
can't
listens to videos all the time.
yeah, this can't be good. And like you like even like I be seeing like 3-year-olds on the iPad for hours. So and for me, like my biggest threat to my focus is social media. And
100%.
it's is it like it's you get sucked in and you just randomly realize 30 minutes don't went by. So like yeah, I think all of us to extent living in this era have a problem. I have a problem. I'm not afraid to admit it. You know, I have a problem. Um so yeah, all of us are, and it's just about disciplining yourself and finding yourself like, oh, okay, I need to just set this limit. We ain't doing this. Or like for me, like in the morning, the first thing we do is just not gonna be like that for more than like 2 seconds to check my notifications, you
Yeah.
know? So it's a tough one, man. I'm working through it right now.
Yeah, literally same. Like, if anything is going to distract Ronald from being his best self all day, it's going to be Instagram or
Yeah.
Twitter or TikTok or one of these social medias. So
Facts.
I like Instagram specifically is my app. That is just horrible for me
It
personally.
is.
So I think like literally, I think I Instagram deleted until I had literally reached out to you for the interview. Like I literally going there for
Really good for you.
like it's literally like not even on like I think like I downloaded it on Mondays. I want to promote and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And the other days I'm just like I just can't because I'm
Right.
just not gonna live my best day. And
Yeah.
one of the things I've realized that is key is just not trying to not look at it when I'm in the bed when I'm waking up and going to sleep. That's really tough though because that's the best times in my opinion to look at it. But
Facts.
it's really tough. But I realized that my productivity is just significantly
Oh
higher.
my goodness. You be like my boys, he hit me into like a dopamine detox.
Yeah,
So
detox.
it's like yeah, like it's no music, no like really being on the phone, none
Yeah,
of that for like it was like 14 days. Of course I didn't do it. But like I did it for like 3 days and I just realized how much happier, how much more productive, how
yeah.
much like we talk about like we like to say like, music is helping us and it does, but like, boy, you just really escape from all this stuff, man. It just make you feel it's like drinking water, you know. We don't do it enough. We're so connected that we're like, I don't know, and it's hard to think for yourself when you're constantly taking in opinions, you
Yeah,
know. So, social media, ugh.
yeah, and that's in my. I know a crazy thing I realized about myself. I know people in the comments if you do work out, you do go to the gym. Like in between reps, I'm checking my
Yes,
social media because, like me personally, I'm big on like you need 1 minute, at least a minute or minute
yes,
30 between reps, or you're not gonna be at your best.
facts.
Like
I
it's just
agree.
that's just what the science says. So I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I'm bored for that minute 30. So I'm like, okay, Twitter, like
Three
why not?
minutes go by.
Yeah. This is like somewhat for my job, like as a journalist, I kind of like need
Yeah,
to be on Twitter.
yeah.
Like, like if some news breaks and like
You
I
gotta
need to
be.
kind of see it,
That's the
but it's like
problem.
so much bad in there too. So it's I think
Yeah.
for me specifically, like if I was like a construction worker, I just would be off the grid. I feel like
Good for
now
you.
that I know if my field is like I kind of like have to promote. I do a podcast. I promote like my articles, my videos. Like I have to promote that stuff. So it's like I have to know when stuff is happening. So it's like, damn, even when I want to escape, I
You
kind of
can't.
can't. It's kind of like my job to be intact.
You know, my bad. But you know when I knew it was a problem?
When
And I bet some people listening going to relate to this. But you be like thinking you feel a buzz on your thigh, or like you
all the
think
time.
you hear a buzz.
That's
And
sick,
you like,
actually. Yeah.
oh my goodness. And especially when you like you got 20. Like I know you watch sports, obviously. You got sports. You got them Woj and Shams notifications.
Alerts,
You
Bleacher
know what I'm
Report.
Oh my god! Every single time you even think of a buzz, you're pressing your button, you're looking at your phone. It's insane, bro. So like when you not only live in this generation, but then got some sort of reasoning to have to look at your phone at all times, boy, it's tough.
Then I've realized too, like, because in the shower now, I try not to listen to anything. I just try to just
Yeah,
shower, and that's also like that's not like a I wouldn't say like meditation, but in some ways it is. I'm just like washing my body, just thinking.
yeah.
Turn the water hit my body. It's all
Hmm.
I do for like however long I'm in there, or whatever.
Hmm.
But so I keep my phone in my other room. Well, I guess
Oh
it's like
yeah,
my bathroom, and through the bathroom, of course, is my
yeah,
room.
yeah.
And I swear I be hearing it vibrate.
Really?
I'm like, man, this is my
Ah,
boss calling me. Like, this is my editor. Bro, he's not calling you. Like, and even if he
yeah,
is, it's nothing like I'm not at that level where like
yeah,
I'm breaking LeBron's trade. So it's like
yeah,
nothing is that serious. I can't give it 15 minutes. Like,
yeah.
there's nothing in this world. But I feel like it's internal pressure
It is.
that it is.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, man, this is a sick feeling to think your phone's vibrate. And it never
That's the worst.
vibrated.
You be feeling like a drug addict or something, bro.
Yeah, like it is though in its own way.
It is.
Like that's the crazy thing. And okay, two things before we move on. One, so this is just a random. So what is your ethnicity?
Yeah.
Like, when
So
in your ethnicity, where are you from? And like I guess like your family background or whatever.
yeah, so I'm definitely African American, but my family came to America in two different ways. So like
Okay.
my my mom's side, straight, from the South, we definitely came on the boats. You know,
For
but
sure.
my and a little white there though. So like a little white on my mom's side. My mom's very light skinned, so we had
Okay.
like a little like white side to us. But so that's them, and then my dad's side, my grandmother came from Costa Rica, so they're from Costa Rica. My grandmother speaks fluent Spanish. They came
Wow.
here when she was like 4 or 5 or 6, or I think like grade school. So my whole dad's mom side is straight from Costa Rica. Like my great grandmother still living to the today is from Costa Rica, lived in Costa Rica her whole life, came when she was already had 6 kids or something. So, that's that side. And then my dad's side, we don't really know past my dad's grandmother. So, I have different, parts of me, but I'm black. You know what I'm saying? I deal with those.
No Tiger Woods. Okay.
No, I am black.
Yeah.
Trust me. And I deal with those, and I speak up for those, and I'm black. Yeah.
And then and you're from
Oh yeah, I'm from Dallas. I'm from
like you was
Dallas.
born and raised. You've always like basically lived in Dallas.
Yeah, my mom's side been Dallas since my grandfather. We've been in Dallas. So yeah. Been in Dallas. Mom lived in Dallas. We big Dallas. And then my dad's
How
from
is it
LA.
growing up in Texas? Like Texas is the biggest. Is Texas the biggest? This is a dumb moment. Is either that or California?
Is it? Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, you want to hear a quote from me? And if you one of my friends in college, you know this quote from me, and they'll be like, oh, like they'll be like, so like say my friends are introducing me, and they're like, oh, you're from Texas? I'm like, I'm not from Texas. I'm from Dallas. Like
Oh
that's my quote because I'm like, man, I'm not claiming this whole country size place when
yeah.
it's a whole bunch. Like Texas is so big. Like because I have a lot of friends from the East Coast, and so when they're like, man, you know. Philly from New York is about like an hour, 2 hours. I'm
Mm.
like, yo,
Yeah,
Houston and
yeah.
Dallas is 4.5. They're like, dang, that's crazy.
They don't look. They don't look like that. Yeah.
They be thinking I'd be going to Houston for the weekend,
No.
just like on a limb. No, that's a trip. And so Texas, like when people like, how's it like to live in Texas? I'm like, I'm from Dallas. Like, so it's like I can't even say what it's like to live in Texas. I know what it's like to live in Dallas, but
Yeah. Right.
living in Dallas, I don't like. Then again, like people ask me how I just live in Dallas, and I'd be like, "Yo, all I did was go to school and play baseball.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really go out. Like it was just that. on replay. So
Yeah.
it's hard for me even to say, like, I can say how it is to live in Philly, how it is to live in DC, because I was living, not just like going through the ropes, you know.
Yeah. So what made you stop playing baseball? It was just like, oh, okay, I'm just not good enough to go to D1.
Yeah, so I could have played college. It would have been to like a small JUCO or D3, D2. And so I was playing. I remember like when I was freshman and sophomore year, I used to tell my dad, whoever I get offered, that's where I'm going. Like that's just what it is. And then I just started to realize though, like I didn't like again, like this was like kind of first glimpse of what happened in college. Like I just didn't love the entire process. Like I couldn't imagine like dedicating my life to this. You know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be better than this. And so, and one of the things my dad and mom are both college grads, got their masters. They would tell me how great their 4 years was. They were like, "Look, son," like my dad would give me the talk every 2 months since I was 3. Look, man, when you graduate high school, you go to college, you're gonna have some of the best times of your life. So I constantly
Yeah,
had that in
something
my
to my
ear.
kid.
Years, I constantly had in my ear. I was like, "Do I really want to sacrifice this to go to Hicktown, Texas, play baseball, work out for 2 years before I even get a chance to play?" I was like, "Man, I'm going to college and just living," you know. So that
Kill
was
your
my
body.
thought.
Your body's done.
Yeah.
And
So
what were you? You were a baseman or something.
what'd you say?
Like, what position were you?
Oh, I was center field, like my dad and my
Oh, you were
grandfather.
a center fielder. Wow.
Yeah, I was going out there and getting it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's
yeah,
okay. So that dang, because if somebody from DC, like you don't really Texas is so foreign of a
yeah.
place. Like I've been to Houston,
Okay.
like, but like I went for the
Yeah,
function, like
yeah,
the live. I don't know how it feels to be there every single day.
yeah,
So I'm like, man, this is such a big state. Like all you see is the political stuff with Texas and
yeah,
this in the schools, that in school, but then it's like all these black people, but then it's not, and then it's country, some part. Like it's too much going on for the
yep,
average inner city DC person. Well, all you know is one city. It's not even a real state.
yeah.
So it's like this is a lot. Like I don't know how A this is. Like we don't even have a governor. Like so I don't
Well,
even know
you
how
know,
it feels.
you say that though, but like me, like bro, I lived in DC for 6, 8 months, man.
Yeah,
Like that was a culture shock. Like, man,
yeah,
like
I bet.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like in DC, I'm like, but like, yo, all these neighborhoods are like their own city in a way too, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm over here, I'm on my little scooter. I'm like, every 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm in a new spot. You know what I'm saying? Like in Dallas, if you want to go and get a new environment, you're driving 15 minutes. In DC, you hop on a scooter for 10 minutes.
And
And you would
you might go from the
the hood
bougie part of town to the
to the
worst.
bougie.
Like
It's crazy. And I loved it. I tell people DC my favorite city.
yeah,
Like that's my favorite city now. But yeah, man, it's all like everything's foreign until you go and experience it.
yeah, that's crazy. Though. Let me see. Okay, Texas is the biggest state. Okay, so
Okay.
we're
I
gonna
didn't even know that, but
we're gonna
yeah.
trust you. Okay. Um, okay, before I ask you this question, we do have a sponsor. Let me do this. So, okay, so this episode is sponsored by SnapTax. SnapTax specializes in getting your tax return the quickest with a no money down price point. SnapTax allows you to pay your fees directly from your return, so we don't get paid until you get paid. To schedule your free consultation, call Ronald Proctor at 202-642-5099. Again, 202-642-5099. Again, this is SnapTax. And again, like I always say when we do this sponsor, black people, we don't need any tax evasion. We need to make sure our taxes are done. And if I'm not mistaken, the deadline is in April. So it's like it's not that long, and everyone should have a W-2 by now. I've been pressing my part-time job to give me that because, like, it's you need all of your ducks in a row. And yes, if you bet on FanDuel, you have to list that. Yes, if you do Robinhood, you have to list that. Like this is stuff I just didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know. I'm like, wait, this is free money. That's how it felt to me. So like everything has to be listed. So I just want people to understand that because I just feel like that's just something that we just aren't told in school. So.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's do. This is a good one. I saw you do this on another podcast, but I just had to do it because I said you gave a pretty good answer. I think.
Okay.
So, what does finding your purpose mean?
Yeah. I think it's an endless pursuit that never ends. I think part of my purpose today is being here with you talking. I think part of my purpose was walking in, talking to the concierge, and giving a slight compliment. You know, like I think the word purpose in its full realm is impossible for the human mind to ever comprehend. And so I think it's impossible to fully find your purpose, but every day we're walking in it. everything you do is part of your purpose. Even like you doing something bad to somebody could flip and be something good because they overcame that bad. Like all of it is beyond it. Like I talk about like controlling the controllables. Your purpose is not a controllable. It's like a byproduct of just what happens. You could step on a fly and that changes the whole course of history for the next 20 years. Like it's that crazy. And so I'm big on like, man, do what your heart feels like it's supposed to do, because through that I think is your biggest purpose. So like me being myself, it allows me to be my best self which then allows me to help more people. But then if you start re-engineering and saying, okay, what can I do to help more people? You're not going to be able to be the best self, and then you're not really going to help that many people. And so I think finding your purpose is life. That is life. It's an endless pursuit of something you'll never forget. It's like chasing perfection. It's great to do. It makes you better. You'll never get there, you know? And so I think finding your purpose is a great thing we like to think we've figured out.
Yep.
Um, and we may for sure have figured out part of it, but we've never figured out the whole entire thing. But we're not supposed to. I think if we had those answers, we wouldn't know how to like feel. Like if somebody told us, I think as human beings, there's certain things in life we don't know for a reason. You know what I mean? If we really knew what happened after we die, could we handle it? You
Yeah.
know, if we really knew like all the things going on, could we handle it? Like, I think there's reasons why we don't know some things. And as human beings, we're so curious. We
Yeah, we
want
are.
to know, but it's like, yo, it's just not time yet. Like, there's certain things I'm glad I didn't know yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad I didn't know it, and it's what does it say? Ignorance is bliss. It's
Yeah.
a fact. And so it's one of those things I always tell people: be comfortable with not knowing certain things, but still go after it. Still go after it. But I always try to replace finding your purpose with finding your passion, and then letting the chips fall where they fall. So I'm big on I'm gonna go hard for this, but I'm not gonna place my validation on how many people I help because I can't control that. Like you post a video on Instagram, you might think it's the best video you ever made. It's gonna inspire the world. It get 300 views and 12 likes. So it's about, I think you got to detach yourself a little bit from your purpose.
Yeah, purpose is a tough one, man. Like
Yeah.
that's something that no one, like you said, no one really knows. And even when you think you know, it's like now I'm gonna question it. Like, do I know? So it's one of those things. But I have a really fun spin on this question.
Okay, I'm
I,
excited.
I saw no one ask you this one. If you could go back like, would you go back in time? Because you're
Uh-huh.
really big on stuff that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So like, you go back in time 10 years, and like, would you actually change something?
I
Like,
wouldn't change a thing. I
like even
wouldn't change.
Bitcoin, like what Bitcoin has done, you wouldn't even go back. You wouldn't even bet on Bitcoin.
That's funny. I just watched Hot Tub Time Machine again. Amazing, amazing watch.
For sure.
Especially if you're not fully like, you got a little alcohol in your system. But
Yeah.
like I'm not changing anything because it's a trust. Like I'm like the me being here today, the stuff I done been through, I couldn't ever have thought that this experience would have helped me. Like
Yeah.
my worst of worst is what's making my best of best. And so maybe if I had my best of best, I'd be at my worst of worst right now. Like I could go and invest in Bitcoin and be a billionaire, but I'd be pretty dang bored right now. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'd
You
come
might
off
blow
very,
all the money. You
yeah,
never know.
or I'd become very unauthentic. Like part of like I used to think about like my podcast and grinding it out. And I used to like people used to ask me like when is it gonna reach this many views and when is it gonna blow up? And I used to think, man, I remember I used to have thoughts of like, man, I hope by this year it's done it. And so and it hasn't. And then I look back, I'm like, I'm so glad it did it because I wouldn't have started this other venture. So for example, my sport reminders thing is blowing up right now.
Yeah,
But
you're
if
like,
it wasn't for the fact of like kind of stagnant growth on the page for Root of Everything for like 4 years, I wouldn't have learned and even had the idea of doing something else. Like everything I believe is working together. And so I'm not changing nothing because I don't even know how I'm here right now. So what I look like going and try to control this thing, you know? I wouldn't change the worst breakup I ever had. I wouldn't change the biggest mistake I ever did because all of it's working together. And if I'm alive today, there's something else I'm meant to do. So I'm gonna just live in this present moment. If I get some type of blue pill to go back, I'm
yeah.
throwing it away personally.
Like that blue pill. That's such a tough one, man.
Yeah.
Because like I think everything has a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm like trying to be God. Like even if you don't believe in God, I'm just trying to be like this higher power.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that.
Me either.
A lot of pressure. Like I don't want to have that responsibility. Like even if I think I'm doing the right thing, because again, you just don't like. Even if you do like, I don't know. Like I'm pretty sure. This is a question I would love to ask like a Wallow, somebody who went to jail for a
Yeah.
couple of years. Like, if you go
Yeah.
back, would you have changed
I
that?
bet he would say. I bet he would say nah.
Because like that made him probably who he is today. Like he would
Yeah.
not have been this guy. Like even if
Yeah.
you. So that's the crazy part. Like even the worst thing that's happened to you probably shapes you somewhat positively if you look back. Now, of course, some people spiral out of control, and we know that suicide is a real thing.
Yeah.
But for those, even those instances, if somehow you can overcome, like you getting close, but you got really close, but somehow you overcame that. Now you're maybe a public speaker. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a really cool like theory. Like, man, when I go back, even if it was for something positive,
Yeah.
that's that blue. Oh
It's
yes,
tough.
yeah. Somebody said dare. They're just not sure. There's
Yeah.
something you probably
I
have to think
feel
about.
it.
Like
I
for
feel
sure.
it.
Okay, so boredom.
Yeah.
Do you like is boredom bad? Like I know we kind of about like me in the gym. That minute 30, I'm like, okay, Twitter. Like, is boredom like a bad thing? Is it just do you have to be comfortable with boredom? Like, what is it?
I think it's like anything. It's a sign. Like when you at work and you bored, you're still working. Now you know this is not what you like to do. You know what I mean? It's a whole bunch of signs. Like for me personally, now I really am never bored because I
Cool.
have all these ambitions. And so I just slot my day off to fulfill them. And then when I'm not working on none of them, it's a break. And so I'm really enjoying that break. Like for me, like I always like to say, like it's really hard to go to sleep when you ain't done nothing the whole day. You know what I mean? So like it's you get bored because you're not fulfilling it with you're not fulfilling it with anything else. So you have no we just talked about you have no purpose with the day, and so like when you're bored, it's a sign like, okay, you need to figure out a way to make your days purposeful. You know what I mean? Because when I'm chilling watching a dumb show on Netflix, I'm not bored because I've been working all day. And so I'm getting a chance to relax. The moment you hit boredom, I think you're wasting time. But then again, you're not because it's teaching you that you need to not be. So it's really not like all
Yeah,
these things are working together. So really there's no negative. But I think boredom is a sign. If you're doing something and you're bored, it's a sign it's something you probably shouldn't do a lot of. You know what I mean? If you're
yeah,
bored because you ain't got nothing to do, it's time to do some searching on for what you are meant to do. So I think boredom is like everything. Like you get hit in the face, you learn you better not talk trash again to that person again. You
yeah,
don't want to get hit in the face. So it's just another sign.
yeah. Somebody commented. So finding your purpose means you get up every morning, excited, and work, and life is just one big fun journey. Like you just, I guess that just means like you just go with the flow. Like you're just happy to be alive.
But I see, I think that's finding your passion. I think
Oh,
I personally think we confuse it. I think that what is just stated is finding your passion.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because your purpose, my purpose, could be to inspire somebody all across on the other side of the globe. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? I was just doing what I know I was supposed to do. Like I just and I don't like I'm not trying to argue with nobody. You can just think whatever you want. But I
yeah,
think that like getting up, being happy, that is doing what you love to do. That's your passion. Like you found different type, like brushing your teeth and saying certain affirmations is a type of passion if it makes you happy. But
yeah,
completely finding your purpose, I don't think that's what your purpose. I don't think that's what it is. My opinion. But yeah, I mean, I'm open, whatever. Yeah.
yeah. Nah,
Yeah.
okay, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about like this is I forget like what's the first time I heard this, but it's like, do you value the process or the destination more?
The
And it's something like I don't
yeah.
even like. I think I value one thing the most, but then it's like, dude, like, I just don't know the answer to that 100%. But
Oh,
in your opinion,
it's the process 100% without a doubt.
and why do you
Um,
think that though?
yeah, because even is the destination? A moment to say I did it? What does that bring you? Like I think a lot of us we have this want for the destination to prove somebody wrong, to say
Yeah,
I did it. to hold up the trophy, or we're on social media and it just looks like happiness. We look at Kobe over here banging, putting up the five for the five rings, and
I
looks
wouldn't do
like
that.
happiness. Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah.
want to do that. But is that really what we want? A lot of times people spend their whole lives yearning for the destination to hit the peaks of peaks, and they realize they wasted a lot of their life
Mm,
because it wasn't even worth it. We're striving for something we don't even know about. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to invest your entire life in something you don't know about? Maybe. My argument would be, why not just do what you love now and then letting the results happen? You know, I understand you really want to get that trophy. You really want to say you're the greatest. But what does being the greatest get you? You know what I mean? Like what does that really get you? Like I look at like I always like to say success has no definition. It's everybody's own
yep.
definition, you know? And so just because winning 6 rings will make you be the greatest in other people's eyes, if you're not happy, is that really the right way to live it? You know, like I could spend my like for example, Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. Patrick Mahomes coming, but he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Um, I would argue that if Tom Brady isn't happy when he steps on the football field doing all this stuff, I would argue he's unsuccessful because the moment spent on his on earth, he wasn't happy. He wasn't enjoying it. So what is the point? So then we get to the point where okay, is other people's opinions more important than our own happiness? Is
Mm,
that what we're saying here? And so well, you got to really check yourself. Like, am I really going for all these accolades just to say I'm the best? Because if you're going for it just to say you're the best, that's you saying that you rather somebody else like you than you liking yourself. And so when I started to realize those things is obviously the process. I'm sitting here like, man, people would be like, man, Jamar, what's the dream? I'm like, I'm living it right now. I'm living it. I'm chasing all these things. But the pursuit of chasing it is what makes it worth it. A lot of people, if you were to ask them if you could have all your dreams come true right now, a lot of people say yes right now, and they get all those things, they're gonna be bored out of their mind because what are you supposed to do now? You see what I'm saying? It's it's
yeah.
the it's the journey to it that's really the gift. It's the losses that are the gift. It's because you learn so much in the process. It's the wisdom you gain through it that allows you to help somebody else. Again, everything happens for a reason. So if you just got it, if you just got to the destination, it wouldn't even feel good. If you got to the destination and it was easy, the destination wouldn't even feel good. So sometimes, like you look at people like Kobe, so like, oh my goodness. But
And,
I would argue that the reason is like that isn't because of the destination, but more of the process to get to the destination.
yep.
So it's all a perspective thing. But I think a lot of people that think it's a destination, haven't like for me, I'm somebody who's I've gone to some peaks of my life. So I'm like, that's where I want to get to. And this is some and I want anybody who's like striving for something to take this in. Like that moment only lasts so long. like I promise you, like I've had my moments. I'm like, I did it. But sometimes it can be so much that you don't even feel anything.
That's the sick part, man. It happens to me
Bro,
all
I'm
the time.
telling you. Like I've been at the highest moments. And you're like, this is the dream. I'm living it. And you're like trying to take it in. And you're
And
like,
it's hard.
you don't even feel it. You
Sucks.
it sucks. And so I'm telling you, you don't know. Like I wake up every morning, I'm like, thank you, God, I'm alive. You don't know when's the end. So you better take in the present moment every time. So yeah, it's like I can't stress enough. It's the process.
And it's crazy because I that feeling you just described was me at my college graduation, and I was
Yeah.
like, I swear I'm supposed to be happier than this.
Yep.
Like, but it's like how like my did I just tell myself I was supposed to be happier than this? Like, I mean, like because like that was a goal of mine. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna get this my grad degree at a school I never thought I was even gonna go to or get into, and then once I'm done, I'm be like, yeah, I did that. But then it was just like in the moment, at least, I was like, I mean, I just was doing every day.
Yeah.
Now today is the day. That makes sense. Like I just went every day, day by day. It's like crap. It's been like 8 months. I'm done. Like that's really just what happened. So that's the craziest part about
Yeah.
it. And that's I'm not gonna say that's scary because it shouldn't be scary, but that's why I feel like it's weird when you do have like a hey, I want to be this guy or something like that, or I want to like be like Kobe because like okay, then if you become Kobe or better, it's like okay, like
Now what?
and you might even be happy in that moment. Like that's not even a guarantee that will fulfill you.
Mm.
So Yeah, and then, okay, I want to talk about this some more, but somebody did drop this question, well, statement. Like, I just think would I still do my job in like a communist setting? I think this when we
Uh,
were talking about passions and stuff like that.
uh-huh. Would I still do my job in a communist setting? Is
Like,
that
I
like a
know this
question?
person right here is an accountant to be specific. So he's
Okay.
saying like, would I still want to be an accountant? Like, if I just wasn't getting paid, like, would accountants get paid? Same with a
That's a
doctor,
great
maybe.
question. Like, it's
I feel
funny.
like I would personally.
You would.
I would
Um,
still do my job if I. I feel like,
yeah. Like I'm one of those, bro. As long as I got food, I got a house, I'm straight.
yeah,
Like you telling me I get to do what I love 24/7, say no more. Like if I didn't get like, bro, if I could just like I think the number one thing that's messing up people is they only value things they can compute with money.
mm,
So if this doesn't compute to money, it's not valuable. And so I like to ask people like, okay, if you could wake up tomorrow, how much value is that? Would you want $1 million? Or would you want to like would you want to die and get $1 million? Or would you want to live tomorrow? Like you start doing these things like
mm,
how much valuable is it for me to get to wake up and do what I love to do? You know, I might have to do a couple extra things. I think that's beyond value because I wake up and I'm enjoying my moments. I know how it felt to make a good amount of money living in a cubicle. That wasn't worth it for me. And I understand the you want certain things, but if you over here working that job just so you can put on a dress and look good on U Street, you know what I'm saying?
yo,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come
nah, for
on.
real.
Like then again, we go back to the discussion. Is other people's opinions more important than your happiness? It's one thing you get in that bag, you got student loans, you trying to get to this point, you're like, all for it. But if you can, the more time you get to be happy is the greatest currency. That's my
Yep.
opinion. So
I don't. First, before I say this, I'm not trying to talk bad about women or anything. I just so we were very clear about
yeah.
this. But I do feel like a lot of women don't really do that. What you're saying, like
Mhm.
about this happiness thing, because like to be a woman is a lot about how you look. One, so I
Mm,
feel like it's a lot of time it is based on other people's opinion.
mhm.
Like a lot of quote unquote what is to be a high class or valuable woman is to
Yeah.
look like that. And it's
Well,
like you don't, then like they don't feel like that. So what do you think about stuff like that?
I think I always like to when we talk about stuff like this, I think we got to point out like history, like
Yeah,
women in terms of value societal wise has always been determined by somebody like by their father or by
yeah,
the men that picks them. And I think we're changing, like women are starting to be able to take control of like as they should. And so I think a lot of it's just deep rooted into like society, like they feel that's what they feel like they have to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like survival, you know what I'm saying? I like there's certain things I do because I can't, but like um certain things I do out of survival. I think it's an instinct.
yeah.
Women are, they're doing what their
Sure.
mom is telling them they're supposed to do, just like we all do. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's a awareness thing. You're looking around. Like if you're a journalist, you see all journalists um wearing a certain type of suit, you're gonna start wearing that
All
suit.
right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think
Basically,
that's the thing. And first, we're all dealing with this. But I do think it does come to women a lot more because there's just a emphasis. Like we come from a society that's deeply rooted in men seeking power and controlling everything, and so that's just a byproduct of that, in my opinion. But I think a lot of women are starting to wake up and being more independent, being starting to value themselves. Like I've dealt with a lot of women. They're like, look, if this ain't feeding my happiness, I've seen it a lot. Um, but I think it just all, it could be an experience. They had a bad experience with their father, bad
yeah.
experience with a boyfriend. Like, there's all these deep rooted things that could be fueling somebody. Like, a lot of people out here working a job they don't like, so their dad will approve them. That happens to men
Yeah,
and women.
that
Yeah,
sucks, man.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I have friends who had chances to do things, but like, yeah, I didn't do it because my dad said no. Like, I be hearing those. I'm like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? So it's all these other like it's all deeply rooted in like our society and like culture you grew up in.
Yeah, okay. That's yeah. I that was I'm thinking I'm like, man, like I wonder because a lot of people live for like the approval of other people like that. It's hard to walk out the house and no matter like you feel good about what you're wearing, how you look, and I don't care if somebody don't give you a compliment on it or not, you felt like, oh, I felt the best. I had the best outfit on. I feel like,
Yeah.
wow, I looked the best. Like that's a tough like mental
Yeah.
barrier to pass. So I get it.
It's-
Okay, so we only have really like a couple more questions left.
All right,
So
man.
okay, so for one, let's talk about like depression and anxiety. For
Yeah.
one, have you ever faced any of these things? And two, like how have you bounced back?
Yeah, man. I faced them bad. I faced depression this morning, and then I don't even know why.
Just felt
Y-
kind of down, like,
Yeah, like
right.
bad. Um, I faced all of it. Anxiety, bad.
Yeah,
I've
me.
been, I've been, I've been in the lows of lows, but like it all comes from different reasons. It comes from like dealing with certain people and feeling like I can't be myself. It comes from not being good at something that I feel like I should be. Like when I play baseball, so I told you I was a center fielder. But
Mhm.
up until my sophomore year of high school, I was a second baseman my whole life. And I don't know if you've ever heard of, like you look at certain people, but like have you ever heard of the yips?
Yeah, for 100%.
Yeah, I had the yips bad. I played second base. I couldn't throw the ball to first base no more. Couldn't.
Yeah, baseball is crazy like
It's
that. This
crazy,
happens all
man.
the time.
Couldn't. And like to be like a baseball player, like that's your identity, and you can't do the basic thing. I remember some of the worst anxiety. Like that ball would get hit to me, and I would be like, "Dang it!" Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I will be walking out the field just feeling like a complete failure of life. Like I'm a baseball player who can't throw the ball to first base from second base. Um, that was like the worst. Like that, I remember that was like all time like depression. Like I remember just going to school just feeling sick. Dealing with like um bad relationships, like getting cheated on, like that's one for me. Deep depression. Like start questioning your own value for yourself. But I've dealt with all those, and I've gotten through it through my circle, having people to depend on. So having those right people around me, I've dealt with it by focusing on my passions. Like you focus on like yourself, focus on loving yourself, focus on doing what you love. Like I think your passion is self-love. You start doing those things and just obsessing over them, it is like a healer, bro.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
you know what I'm saying? Like right now is like I'm feeling great because this is what I love to do. So it's like when you start, the more and more aware you are about yourself, the more and more weapons you have to fight off these things. Like I used to like really wake up having lots of anxiety or waking up feeling bad. And I just started to realize, yo, when I take a cold shower in the morning, that joint be going away, And so
Yeah.
I take a cold shower every morning.
Right.
I started realizing I couldn't go to sleep because I had thoughts of anxiety when I went to sleep. Started meditating at night. You just like going through these things and then like trying your best to figure out ways, you get better at facing them. But when you first face them, it's like impossible. Like for me, I remember my sophomore year of college because I told you about my life. I had some life altering things. Some stuff
Mhm.
happened to me, and I just had all time depression. Man, I'll be honest. I'm a Rod Wave fiend. He get
Yeah.
me right. So what
He does,
happened?
yeah, he does get you there for sure.
So what happens? I hit depression. I had certain. I know I have different types of depression and anxiety. When I
Yeah.
hit that certain type, I just turn on raw wave. So I think it's about learning yourself. Like all of this stuff, like finding your purpose and self love. It's all about self awareness, and you start figuring out. Like it ain't no one thing I can tell somebody and be like, do this, it'll help. Nah, it probably won't. Be honest with you, because that's what works for me. But try it, and then once you start figuring that out, you'll be able to combat it. But you're never gonna stop it from happening. It's gonna happen at the weirdest moments. Like I had no reason today, but I was in it. But what I did was like I have my checklist. I'm gonna just do this and keep going, and eventually, it kind of goes away. So just know nothing lasts forever. Your highest of highs, your greatest moments, they don't last,
Yeah, damn.
but your lowest of lows don't. And I always say, again, your lowest of lows is what produces the highest of highs. Because if we didn't have our lows of lows, the highest of highs would feel average. So like I'd be like sitting there like, dang, this is bad. But I'm like, yo, it's gonna make the good moments even better. And then all of a sudden I'm like, yo, that's gonna be all right. So
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
perspective and learning yourself.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I love that answer. This is the last question.
Okay.
So I want you to leave the people with something. So
Yeah.
whoever somehow still people still on here.
Yeah.
So again, appreciate everyone that stuck it out. We've been on here for an hour 30.
Yeah.
So appreciate you all. So just what are some of your positive like habits that you just do? Like I realize I'm very like habit guy. Like I have a lot of things I do every day, and like how
Yeah.
important you think are habits, or
Oh,
maybe they're not important to you.
yeah, they're super important. If that's your thing, like some people can go around just doing stuff differently, but in its own way, that's a habit too, you know. But I think like my big habits are like again like meditating, like journaling is big for me. So I can like write down my thoughts, and journaling is in different ways. You can journal for ideas, journal for your bad moments, how you're feeling. Like when I talk about like my depression, I can journal how I feel, and then that one time I start to feel better because of some of it, I write it down. So the next time I'm feeling bad, I can be like, "Yo, how did I do it last time?" So I think
Yeah.
journaling is big. I carry 3 journals on me at all times. One,
3. Wow.
yeah, yeah, but it's not what you think. Like
Yeah.
I consider like doing a to do list is journaling. I
Hmm.
have a steps journal where basically, and this is okay. This is a big one for me. This is the one. This is the one.
Okay.
I started this like 6 months ago. I have a journal where I put the date and then I just write any type of step forward I took today, like
Uh,
any type, whether that's like I talked to my mom for 5 minutes. I feel like I got closer to her. Write that down. Whether that's I got closer to my dream because I made my website for my whatever. Like I write down every facet that I took a step forward because I used to find myself, I would work hard, bro. Like I would work really hard the whole day. And I'm like, what did I really accomplish? And I
yeah.
would feel horrible at night. And so like writing down every type of step allows you to feel value in yourself. Like, okay, I'm not wasting my days here on earth. Or even like a step could mean, man, I was happy doing this today. In some way, that's a step forward in some way. And so that's the one. Like I didn't realize how big that was, but I've been doing that for the past like 6, 7 months. It's the best thing I ever did. Writing the to-do list the day before is a big hack. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, big hack because I used to wait, especially if you're somebody who's multifaceted like me, where you got 3 different, 4 different, 5 different projects. If you're not writing it down, you gonna have anxiety. I'm just being honest. Like I had anxiety in college because I was e-board member of this, and this, and I had class and I was internship.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I was
I
walking
gotta
around with
apply
no
this. Yeah.
yeah, I was walking around with no to-do list, and all I would find myself when I had a moment where I wasn't listening to music, I'd be like, "Dang, I gotta do this, this, and this," and then an hour later, I forgot about 3 of them. Just anxiety, just piling up. You
It's
know,
crazy.
it's bad, and so I started doing the to-do list. Every night before I go to bed, before I even meditate, I write down all of it, and it helps me go to sleep because I'm not worried about. Like I remember back in high school days, I used to be sleeping, and then I'd be boom, oh, I have a project due tomorrow. Like you didn't even know. So like so that setting the to-do list is another
Yeah.
big habit. And just continue to find and just continue to be aware of yourself because that will then bring the new habits. That would then bring the ways to fix the anxiety. Constantly being aware of yourself, constantly saying, why do I feel like this? Constantly asking yourself, do I like what I'm doing right now? That everything I'll ever talk about sprouts from that. So if
Yeah.
you can continue to just start thinking about why you feel like things, why you did this, how you can do better. If you're just constantly doing that, everything else will figure itself out. So self-awareness is the biggest habit, taking steps to be self-aware.
Yeah, definitely. And people in the comments say they love the info, they love the show. It's
Appreciate it.
definitely this is again this is one of my favorite podcasts that I've done. So I appreciate you coming on
For
for
sure.
sure. And I want you to before we end this, just to shout out your social medias. They are in the I put his main Instagram in the bio for everyone.
Yeah, so personal root of Jamar, that's at ROOTOFJAMAR. All my stuff is there. Me speaking on there is there.
Yep.
And then my podcast is Root of Everything. So that's ROOTOF everything. I'm not gonna spell that out because I'll probably mess it up. And then my sports page that we were kind of talking about that's kind of blowing up is Sport Reminders singular. So that's SPORT reminders, not sports, but sport reminders is there. Podcast is the same thing. Root of Everything on YouTube podcast. Rootofjamar.com is my website. If you want to book me to speak, if anybody here wants to book your boy to speak, you could book me on my website. Yeah, that's everything, man. My DMs be open. Hit me up.
He
Yeah,
replies fast. He replied. He's
yeah,
on it.
man. Yeah, because I got a problem with my social media
Yeah,
consumption. That's
we
why.
talked about that earlier, like
Yeah,
for sure. So he was on it. But yeah, again, appreciate you for everyone that's on here. Like we're doing a lot of these. Like we got some very interesting professions just to like learn about. The goal of this is perspective for myself to learn, for you all to learn, for anyone that just is curious to learn. So again, we're trying to just grow franchise mode. We're streaming Sundays, Mondays, trying to stay more committed. So again, appreciate everyone that stayed, and for whoever it was listening, yeah, I appreciate